good friend of the program, good friend of mine, and a very worthy Emmy Award nominee last night for Best Studio Host from ESPN, Scott Van Pelt. How are you, Scotty?
I'm still bitter.
You know what,
friends? I can be honest.
Yeah,
right?
man. And let me guess. Okay. They didn't serve drinks during the affair, right? You're in the closed auditorium, right? You sit there.
Oh yeah. You're starving. You're
All right.
parched.
Okay.
And
you got nothing.
You know,
got nothing.
This is, and you've lived this. You've lived this.
Yes. Well,
it's I mean, there's no way to say this and not have it sound pretentious, but I mean, it's like one of the last ones. It's one of the big ones.
One of it. It is the last. What you mean? It wasn't the last one of the night. It always is when I'm up for it.
It always has been. I mean, I've only ever gone twice because I got nominated twice. Yeah. So I went both times because I figured you should at least turn up. Sure. You never know.
Right.
Some people could get drunk and vote for you by mistake. But it was they gave out the award. CBS won for the Super Bowl for, I guess, the best live event. I mean, that makes sense too. The best event of the year on TV.
Sure.
So this was second to the last. But you go there knowing that Bob's going to win. but you have enough time throughout the day to think, well,
maybe not.
What if? You never know. And then you see people and everybody says, oh, man, I love your show. It's great. I enjoy it. Great. Good luck. You could win and this and that. And then you go in the room and you look around and you think, these people don't stay up until midnight and watch my dumb show. And then it's
right.
late and you're hungry and you're thirsty. And then they say Bob Costas. And then you got to get in the car and drive home and you're just pissed.
Yeah.
And you feel petty and small and ridiculous. But if you want to know what you feel, that's how you feel, because you just think, Bob could play chess with all the Emmys he has,
Well,
he literally could play chess with them, and you think just one would be really kind of a cool thing. And it's a thrill to be nominated. And on the way out, there was a gal, and I don't know what network she was with, but she was clearly in the same boat, and she just said to no one in particular, she goes, well, it's an honor to be nominated, right? And I said, it's a long drive to hear Costas win. That's what it is. And they laughed, and I laughed, and we walked off into the night.
So I'm going to give you one. I'm going to leave you one last chance to say it was an honor to be nominated and sound like you mean it, Scott. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. Scott Van Pelt in 3, 2, 1.
Rich, it was an honor to be nominated, and it was. Your name is mentioned in the class of those people, and it feels like a mistake. And it is an honor to be nominated. ... It's still kind of a bummer.
That's I don't know. Who's more believable?
You've lived this. Am I summing this up accurately? I mean, am I reflecting your feelings about the same?
Yes, 100%. And I had Bob here sitting next to me yesterday. And do you want to know the number of Emmys that he's now won? The exact number of Emmys that he's now won? Do you want to hear it, Scott?
Yeah, why not? Pile on. Go ahead. What was it?
27. It's now 27.
27. Honestly, here's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, put it this way, the one he just got,
yes.
If you threw it on the pile, where's the one for 2015? I don't know. It's down there somewhere. If Van Pelt were to win one, there it would sit. It would be conspicuous.
Yeah.
Among the emptiness.
But you look, man, in all seriousness, you deserve the accolades. I said it on the show yesterday. I'll say it to your face too. What you do every night at midnight, it's not easy. You're coming on after events where I'm sure the rundown gets blown up because something happens and something stupid happens in the last 30 seconds of a game that you're coming off of, and you've got an essay all written that you might have to scrap and then use the next night, and then you've got an interview that you're going to do that you weren't really prepared for because something did happen stupid 30 seconds before you went on the air, and you do it with aplomb, you do it with humor, and you do it in a way that makes me want to stay for all 60 minutes and then come back the next night. It's a true story.
Well, that's incredibly kind, and you've been kind both on the air and privately, which I appreciate. And look, and it is truly an honor to have that work validated or recognized in a way where you're mentioned in a category. You just happen to be in the wrong category with the 27 Yankees. But look, people that do this that know that. And it's not heavy lifting, but
sure.
It's a one-man thing, and you're out there doing it every day. It's not always the easiest gig you could get in the business. So for you to say that obviously means a lot, and I do appreciate that sincerely.
You bet. Scott Van Pelt joining me here. So while you're down in the dumps, let's talk about the Washington Capitals.
How about that?
I mean, can you put into words what people in the Mid-Atlantic are feeling right now, sports-wise?
If it's the Caps are specific, and this year feels different because it's the same outcome. But I think people recognize that what happened here is they ran into a really hot team, and they lost 4 one-goal games, and it feels like you just throw it on the pile like Costas does with the Emmys. Like, oh, it's just another year that they choked. I don't feel that way about them. I just feel it feels unlucky that they weren't able to get past this. But I heard as I was waiting to come on, and it's amazing just how long it's been since they've even made a final. If you're lucky enough to be old enough, do remember, when the Redskins were not just good, but they were great. I feel like they were, a dynasty that was never recognized because they did it with 3 different quarterbacks. But it was, 10 years they won 3 and went to 4, and because I grew up rooting for the Orioles because Washington didn't have a team, I saw them win a World Series, so I remember it anyway. But I mean, just to your point, it's been a long, long time, and since I haven't lived there and consumed day in, day out the talk radio, had the post on the doorstep. You know what I mean? Watch the local news. It's not as ingrained in me day in and day out how long suffering they are. But man, it's been a long time. And for the Caps, the thought was this was the year, and it's just another year like all the others, where it ends sooner than anyone hoped.
Scott Van Pelt joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. So the conversation now, as Charles said it on DP's show today, and Tracy McGrady said it on the Worldwide Leader yesterday. Now we're hearing the NBA is watered down. It's as watered down as we've ever seen it in recent years. And obviously, Barkley he's no stranger to this situation. Would you agree with that assessment?
No. As I watched Durant and Kawhi the other night, and I watched it again last night. Different, like watching Durant, who's whatever height he claims to be, play the way he plays the game. Watching Steph, who is changing. What's Kerr's line? He's changed the chessboard, which is a brilliant way of describing it. Just meaning you have to account for a player. You have to account for him to 30 feet, Rich. And if you don't, then he will hurt you. He will make threes in your not even in your face because you're not addressing him that far out. To say that it's watered down. It's what every generation ever does, and we did it in high school. The kids that were 2 years after you, well, these guys weren't as good as we were, and you laugh at them because the guys that were 2 years ahead of you said the same about you, and it feels so small to minimize what we see right now. I'm sure those guys in their mind think that they beat them. Pippen said they'd sweep Golden State initially, and it told Paulie that, didn't he? When they did that interview, Paulie Paps.
Yeah.
No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. It feels small to me. And I watch Curry play. I watch Durant play, among others. And I don't think it's watered down. Now, granted, watching the Hawks, watching what Cleveland's had put in front of them, it doesn't feel like great opposition. But we always remember the past more fondly than it probably played out, I think.
And we've got, we just mentioned the Caps. You just mentioned the Cavs, who are appearing to be, they appear to be poised, because you got to use conditional phrasing when it comes to any Cleveland team. They appear to be poised to have a chance to erase all the issues. And then you have the Cubs as well. Brockman asked the poll question of our friend Scott Van Pelt, please.
All right, Scott, how far will the Cubs go this year? Parade, World Series, NLCS, wild card, miss the postseason.
The first was parade?
Yes.
Give me that.
Yeah, me too, man. I feel it too. I really do. You were out there for the draft, and I made a point to go. We had to leave that Friday, but I'm not going to go to Chicago and not go to Wrigley if they're home. You want to just tap into that buzz that stadium has. Yeah.
They're better than we thought. They could be the parallel to the Caps. They could have the best record in baseball, and then you just run into the wrong team at the wrong time, and you lose. You lose 4 games, and your season's done.
Right.
That could very easily happen. They could be the yardstick from now until October, and then play the wrong team, and it could end. But they look the part, and I think they have a parade. I think the Cubs win it all.
I feel the same way too.
39%, first place.
That's parade. Followed by what?
There's optimism. Optimism is pervasive. That's great.
But NLCS 25%.
And the reason why we bring it up again is not only because they're 25-6, which is their best record since prior to the League of Nations, But I mean, what happened with just the Caps? That's the point, as you just mentioned, Scott. Could happen to them. That's the thing people are scared about on the north side.
Well, and that's the thing. You know, a buddy of mine that's a huge Caps fan. Just he was so devastated last night. He just said being a fan is hard. And I'm thinking about something like that for tonight's show. How do you weave something like that? And I think of the kids in Boston that I remember a few years back when it was, you know, it was like he said 9 years old, like 12 parade, and you just think there's some old timer up there looking at him going, kid, you don't even know. You know, they spent their whole life, their lives waiting for something. It isn't easy, and that's what makes it fun is when you invest in your team and you don't give up, and then someday, you know, the sun comes out. But, man, when it rains again, you just think, Christ, is this ever going to end?
Scott, you're the best. Thanks for calling in, man. We'll chat soon.
I appreciate the kind words sincerely. Rich.
Always. That's
All
Scott
right,
Van Pelt.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.